are on this earth to connect everyone and help people share more.
Back to the logo. So what the happened here, right?
The Disrupt Hackathon, we're excited to see what developers come up with.
Tonight's about giving the opportunity for nerds to do what nerds do best. And that is sit back and judge each other.
Okay, thank you so much. That's TechCrunch. That was my girlfriend, Marissa. You saw her up there. She couldn't be here today because she's at home feeding the dog. Anyway, so to host this, I want to say a big thanks to the startups that have made it out here today. It's a big moment for them. You, the startup community, get to meet people with money. That's never a bad thing and a good motivation. And now, without further ado, I'm going to hand it to your host for today. And our host is Anthony Ha from TechCrunch. He's an award-winning reporter, extensive background covering tech for both print, really, and digital publications, including Adweek and VentureBeat. He covers media and advertising for TechCrunch. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, thanks to the judges, thanks to the startup, Anthony Ha from TechCrunch. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob, and thank you all for being here. So I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. This is kind of the boring part where I explain the rules. But you have to pay attention, because even though we call these guys judges, they actually have essentially no power. You have all the power. You are going to decide the winners today. So, at least pretend you're paying attention, because otherwise it's going to be super awkward. So there are going to be 3 sessions. The first for companies that will disrupt the creation of advertising through technology. The second for companies that will disrupt media allocation with better offerings than currently available. And the third for companies that will disrupt media allocation using data and insight. So this is the most important part. So we're going to use an app called, we're going to be using a technology called Poll Everywhere to vote for the best company in each round. The easiest way to vote is with the Transformation Event app. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands if you've downloaded the app. I'm just going to assume you all have it. Now, I think there's going to be a slide somewhere. Oh, yeah, so if you look over there, you'll see there are other, if you have the app, sorry, I'm making this more confusing than it needs to be. So there's going to be, on iPhones, a survey button on the second page of the interface. Just tap the survey button and tap the name of the company that you think did the best job. But there's also instructions for voting by text or by internet up there as well. I'll remind you of all of this at the end, but just remember, you're going to have to vote. You have to pay attention. That's the complicated part. We'll get through this together, guys. Don't worry. So in each session, you're going to hear a 5-minute pitch from each of the 5 companies. While they're on stage, you're going to see their Crunchbase profile, and that'll give you more information about their background and their funding and sort of all the sort of boring details. They're on stage basically to give you their big vision. By the way, if you haven't checked out Crunchbase, you should, because my boss really wants you to, because it's the definitive startup database. So what you're going to see, this is a little bit more fun, but is also audience participation, which is that at the end of the 5 minutes, there's going to be a 30-second countdown. Don't hold me to that. I think it's 30 seconds. And then at the end of that, they're supposed to stop, because we want this to be essentially a fair fight. Everyone gets 5 minutes. So that's what all the noisemakers on the table are for. And so if they hit 0 and they're still talking, make some noise, because that's it. They're done. So actually, if you guys could help me out, let's try it out once right now. Grab your noisemaker, make a little noise. Perfect. Like that, but better. So then at the end of each, during each session, you can actually tweet at me, at Anthony Ha. This is not just a desperate ploy for more followers, although that's part of it. But tweet at me, at Anthony Ha, if you have any questions. And I think that we're going to, well, I'll remind you guys. But any questions you have, and I will ask them during the question and answer session with the judges. That was a lot of instructions. I'm sorry, but basically pay attention, ask questions on Twitter if you want. I'll remind you how to vote at the end. Thank you so much. We are going to welcome our very first startup, which is Blippar, which is a free app platform that enables users to bring the world around them to life through the camera on a smart device. And presenting from Blippar is going to be Patrick Aloise. Let's get started.
Wow, that was quite the song. I feel like I'm going to deliver the news here in a minute. So, good morning, everybody. Hopefully, everybody is properly caffeinated. I'm going to kind of wing it a little bit. Found out that they decided to challenge us a little bit more than normal. We have no visuals, so luckily I'm in a room of a lot of creative people, so I'm going to rely on you a little bit to use your imagination if you would. And if you're closing your eyes, I'll just assume that's what you're doing and you're not sleeping. So, without further ado, I'd love for you guys to imagine, you know, you're reading a magazine, you're walking down the street, you're in store, and you see something that you want to respond to. It's an ad, it's a brand that you want to build a relationship with. That brand wants to build a relationship with you. And then let me, you know, and I think we all can even visualize this as well. Being in the room, you're trying to strategize, you're trying to figure out what's going to make this ad different, what's going to make this ad compelling, you know, how can we engage with our consumer. And Blippar can help those two things happen. It can help the consumer respond when they want, and it can help people like ourselves in the room trying to come up, you know, cook this stuff up, you know, give them some extra tools and, you know, an extra dimension that you can allow people to respond to. So, my name is Patrick Aloise. I'm Vice President for Blippar here in the United States. The company is about 2.5 years old. We started in London, launched here about 1.5 years ago. And basically what we are is we're an image recognition app and augmented reality mobile platform. So what that basically means, in short, is that we tie the physical and the digital world together. And so brands, you know, even media partners, they already have a digital strategy in mind. They already have their print, their out-of-home strategy in mind. What we do is we play a natural kind of organic role within that. So you might as well drive a digital, get the most out of what you're doing in the digital space and drive it off your print, drive it off your bus stops, drive it off that collateral. And that's basically what we're helping brands and, you know, media companies do as well. So we're working with the Lionsgates, we're working with, you know, multiple magazines at Time, but we're also working with Coke, we're working with a number of P&G brands. Just did a campaign recently with Pepsi where they had about 19 million Pepsi cans that went out, and on the side it says, you know, download Blippar, you can engage directly with this can. It was geo-fenced, so if you were in a certain state, you were going to get a sweepstakes entry. You also could take a photo with your favorite player and share that across social. So, you know, a lot of these things that everybody's looking to do already, we just make that simpler, basically. And like I said, we've been lucky to be able to work with some really powerful brands and create some pretty cool experiences. And so image recognition. So we've all seen QR codes, we've seen digital watermarking, you know, these things in the past. And basically I'd call those triggering mechanisms. And basically our image recognition kind of replaces that. So you don't need any kind of code on the page. We don't need to touch the physical printing process in any way. It was very easy. I literally could take a photo of your ad, ingest that into our platform, and make that instantly interactive. Could come right off a product, like it came right off the Pepsi can, for instance. So we can do that. That makes it very easy. Augmented reality, we've all heard that. I think it means different things to different people. Basically what that means is things are popping up off of the page or off of the product and are living on your device that aren't living in the real world. So that could be sweepstakes entry, that could be style tips, that could be a virtual try-on where you could take a picture of your hand and put fingernail polish on and toggle through something we did for Maybelline. So I'm starting to run out of time. But so there's a lot of things that you can do with it. And like I said, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're trying to be just an add-on, an addition to what is already taking place. It's kind of I always say the ones that we've seen from an engagement point of view that are the most successful are the ones that are it's an organic extension of what that ad is intending to do. You know, basically, like I said, we're trying to drive the digital strategy, use the physical collateral to drive, you know, engagement, build a relationship, data capture. It really depends on what the intent of that ad is, and we just try to add on to that. We're obviously measuring everything as well, so our platform will tell you how many total engagements, how many unique players, where they were physically, down to the street level, what time of day. We've seen some pretty amazing results too. Our average dwell time is just shy of 2 minutes. So if somebody does engage with an ad, that's a pretty amazing amount of time rather than a split second that they're going to spend perhaps on a print ad. And then, we can kind of help figure that out so we can see what people are doing and how they're responding, and then help with the strategy going on. And there's the music. And then the evolution. I mean, we are the first actually image recognition app that is on Google Glass. That was something that my CEO announced at Mobile World Congress. And so again, we're always kicking the tires and always making sure that we're a step ahead. And I only have 10 seconds left, and they still want me off already. So anyway, thank you so much, everybody.
Got questions for you. This is the hard part. So just a reminder, if you do have questions, at Anthony Ha, I've got my phone. I'm totally not texting that much right now. But maybe we'll start with our judges. Do you have any questions for Patrick, for Blippar?
I've just listened to you for 5 minutes, and I don't know what you do.
Oh, no. That's not...
I mean, no, honest, seriously.
Yeah.
You mentioned publishers. You mentioned brands. Who do you work for? How do you get paid? How do you make money?
Yeah. Well, we have a self-publishing tool, so we work with the editorial side, where we can license that for free. So it's kind of a quid pro quo in that way. So they can use the tool. We teach them how to use the tool. Then they make their editorial interactive. That supports their ad side. And then we actually charge for the ad side. So we can either license a Blip Builder tool to them to build it, or we can actually custom create it for them. And we're seeing kind of a mix of that depending on what the bandwidth at that particular magazine. And then we're working with brands, and we're basically just working on a fee basis. So it depends on what we're building. And then we basically quote that out. And so when we're working with Coke or P&G, it's, we call that like a market-wide blip, depending on where it's being used. So that's basically how we charge.
So these are all customized?
Yeah, a majority now, only because that's kind of how we had to ramp up. So, kind of had to build it to show them. But now where now we've officially launched this Blip Builder tool, you're going to see, I think, a little bit more of a transition in that way.
So I was actually very disappointed at the pitch. I mean, it wasn't a very good pitch. Here you have 300 buyers in front of you, and the pitch didn't feel like it was prepared. You weren't ready. So if I was an investor, I'd be disappointed in that pitch. So leaving the pitch aside, I'm trying to get the value proposition from a buyer's perspective. So what's the value for the buyer? If I'm going to use the app, what am I trying to do? Am I trying to improve my existing ad interaction or ad effectiveness? How do you measure yourself?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying, like I said, and it's tough because there's a variety of things that you can do. So it kind of depends on the ad, right? So again, it's.
But give me one value proposition. What's the reason why I want to buy this as a advertiser? You're the advertiser, not the consumer. As the advertiser. As the advertiser, it's basically, what is the purpose of the ad in the first place? I mean, you want to engage with your consumer. You want to it's a brand lift, you're launching a product, what have you. So let's say it's a product launch. So Maybelline, we did a product launch. They were coming out with 40 new colors. So in that, you could blip right out of the ad and try on all 40 colors. You could share if you so chose to say, hey, this was the color I liked. Click through to buy. So again, it's trying to make that either the purchase pass instantaneous. Sometimes the goal is, hey, I want to know who my consumer is. So for Maybelline, what percentage of the people engaged with the ad? That saw the ad, used Blippar?
It was a print ad, so we actually had pretty good visibility on that one because you can just based on a circulation. That lived in about 5 magazines. We had about 200,000 engagements in total, I think, across those magazines. I forget exactly how that split up. But we're seeing, as you can imagine, it's kind of a little all over the map at present.
What's the cost per CPM for that particular ad then?
We're not. I mean, we don't break it down that way. I guess you could back it in. I guess. I wouldn't be able to quote exactly what we charge them for that one exactly, but I would say that you're talking less than, it's less than $1 on average. I would think if you're looking at it from a
less than $1
serious
per engagement.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how you're calculating that. What engagement is it? Them blipping? Is it them clicking through to to buy? Is it the secondary act? So it depends on how you're calculating that out.
So I'll ask a slightly easier question from Twitter, which is, do you see this as the next generation of Google Glass?
Well, yeah, I mean, we actually, like I said at the very end there, we were the first image recognition platform to be built into Google Glass. So it was something that got demoed, by my CEO, and it's, you say, okay, Glass,
scan this, and it basically is going to read, and it's really what we're already doing with the phone. So if you open our app, it engages the camera on your phone automatically, and then you're able to, almost like you're taking a picture of anything. So if you're taking a picture of the Pepsi can, or you're taking a picture of the Maybelline ad, or you're taking a picture of, even the editorial from Sunset Magazine. So you can see, hey, I want to drill down and see where that campground is, or I want additional photos of that campground. So it's kind of almost like, if we're talking like with magazines, they have their enhanced digital edition. So, 6 years ago, they all said, oh, print's dead, everybody's gonna read it on the pad. So now there's only about 3% digital readership in magazines. They're 97% still print readers. And so what we're doing with them is trying to help drive downloads of that enhanced version. So, basically repurposing and using the assets that they already are creating, that they're already investing in for that. And then, our platform basically just highlights that, kind of shows it off a little bit, and then if you message it properly, you can say, hey, if you like this kind of reading experience, then you can get more of it over here. So that's partly the value we're adding for the media partners.
Great, well, thank you so much, and I think we're out of time, but let's give one more round of applause for Blippar, especially for going first and seeing the judges kind of sharpen their knives a little, which was actually the other question on Twitter, which was, are the judges going to be this harsh the whole time? And hopefully, the answer is yes.
It depends.
I guess we're about to find out. So our second startup is Stipple. Stipple revolutionizes image monetization with social shopping. It connects tags to all copies of an image, then puts you you being the publisher in control of the content and data from your images. Presenting from Stipple is Tracy Benson.
Can you hear me okay? So, I'm not sure what Anthony just told you, but what I want to share with you is a story around digital images. I come from the brand marketing, the CMO role, the product marketing, the retail commerce for 20 years. And I now officially am standing on this stage as a startup because I'm so compelled by this technology and this platform. So I hope I can share with you all the ways that I think, sitting in your shoes, understanding your challenges as advertisers, merchants, and publishers, how you can put Stipple to use for your brand. So let's roll back the clock back to 1997. In 1997, the first megapixel camera was put out in the market. It's what, 15 plus years ago? Not that long, right? In 2004, a company that is no longer at the top of the CE market, Sharp, Sharp actually created a phone with a camera in it so that you could once in a while take a picture of something you like, mostly while you were on the phone. No way to share it, no way to do anything with it, but a way to capture it. 2007, iPhone started to fuel that technology. And a couple years earlier than that, Windows actually created a picture transfer protocol where you could take that image and first share it somewhere. So that's 2004, 2007, iPhone fuels it. 2013, 82%, eMarketer just put this stat out about 2 days ago, 84% or 82%, I'm sorry, of all photos drive better viewability, right? We've built our businesses on driving eyeballs based on photos. We just advertise the rails. We find other ways to monetize, whether it's our product margin, our affiliate marketing, our advertising. And I'm here to tell you, as a brand marketer, I get the value of digital images. I just never knew what exactly to do with it as a frontier and as a visual experience beyond driving everything else around that product and that content and that image. And so when you look at the stats, and I encourage each of you to think about what do digital images do to your brand versus all your advertising combined. The audience is huge. It's huge. So 3 years ago, Ray Flemings and Mike Dungan, who were the head of Justin Timberlake Enterprises, started looking at ways to change the trajectory of what was happening in the music business. So their sole goal was, how do I monetize more of Justin? So they started sizing up the prize. They looked at his music business. Hey, it was decommoditizing down to a 99-cent single. His clothing sponsors, his brand endorsers were all very controlled and very boxed in. And so what they saw was, when they started looking at the number of images that drive influence for products, influence that Justin is not taking credit for, and assets that they could do something more with, they started looking at the size of that opportunity, and it was huge. For Justin Timberlake alone, and many of you have talent as part of your endorsements, many of you don't, but I will tell you, Justin Timberlake, according to Google search, 800 million people look to take his images for publishing, blogging, social, or other use, 800 million in 7 days. A Coke can is over 200 million in 7 days. So if you think about that audience, what Stipple does is Stipple has built a marketing technology that essentially truly scans images. And image recognition is a new space and a new frontier that hasn't yet been cracked. A lot of people can tell you, hey, we do image recognition, and we're all trying to build in that space because of its importance. Stipple has built a technology that actually does computer vision image recognition to identify objects, products, people that are recognizable. Like, I would not be recognizable, right? But Justin Timberlake is. Face, product, people, and we take that content and we identify it, we log it, we allow a brand to have tools to build content experiences on it. So one of the things you could do is you could take that content and you could advertise organically. You could integrate other marketing experiences. You could bring together a visual web that is a true experience. It's like unboxing an image.
Just under the wire, thank you.
Woo!
And now we're going to
Thank you.
Question and answer session. Just a reminder, if anyone in the audience has questions, just tweet me at.
Thank you for not booing me with those kazoos.
I'm worried that people are going to, like, everyone's
I did not pay her. We don't know each other, but we will on.
See.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
So, Tracy, what's the business model?
Yeah, so the business model is we are a marketing technology platform. So we're a SaaS business model. You license our technology. We have two products. We have a core product that basically gives you all the same capability of the technology, but the presentation is a little more flat. Because it's my belief that every brand is going to want to customize the presentation of that content to be very tailored, brand-centric. You're going to want to mash up your own content. So you license our software, you use it, you control it, your agencies, your marketing teams manage the idea around the images, and we have what we call a cost per engagement usage fee on specific pieces of content. So we don't work on an impression basis. We don't work on anything else. This is a platform about driving engagement, driving conversion, and I'll give you 3 statistics that lead to why we built that. One is 29 pilots we did last year with major brands across many, many different ideas and opportunities. .com sites, publishing sites, own platforms like brands, social platforms, as well as other like microsites. 3 metrics: the engagement rate for every person that saw the content, not viewed an image, but rolled over the content. It's all very user-driven. So when you roll over the content, you see, whether it's icons or an image tray, however you want to build it, you see that content. So for everybody that saw that content, they engage with at least 3 additional pieces of content out of 8. And the pilots went from 2 additional pieces of content, like a video, to buying at iTunes, to 10. But they engaged with 3. Second measure that's so important to brands, time spent. How often do brands and publishers try and put together teams and strategists and bring in the McKinseys and the Bains, and we're going to figure out how we drive more stickiness to our content and our brand? Time spent on average was 3 to 6 minutes. That's a very important measure. 3 to 6 minutes.
How do you differentiate from the 137 other image recognition startups?
Well, I think if you understand what we do, we don't take display advertising and throw it into an image or at the bottom of an image where eyeballs are going. That's not our business. We're not here to reinvent display, which there's a lot of people in that business right now. I could name them GumGum, Triple Lift. They're taking what we know is ad blindness, moving the ads closer to the image, making it somewhat genericized and related. Our technology actually takes an image and think of it like unboxing an experience. You as a brand or a publisher could say, I want to integrate this director's cut video right there in image. Cool. I want to drive them to the experience of, buying tickets to Katy Perry's tour. Awesome. I want them to see the exclusive six-pack that Taylor Swift created for Diet Coke and go buy it. And so the difference is we build an experience that you can advertise, content, integrate, or drive commerce. And that I haven't seen done in an organic, relevant way with the content of an image.
How many images have you served so far?
We've served over, I'm going to give you a ballpark because we do merchant catalogs and we do over 8 billion merchant products. So we take Zappos' entire catalog and we scan it, we recognize it, we know it's their product, their shoe, they apply 3 pieces of content. So we do over 8 billion there. Images served over the pilots have been close to 2 billion.
You have a SaaS model. Are you getting paid by Zappos? Are you getting paid?
Yes. Yes. So we work with their affiliate marketing to basically stipple all their products. So every time their products are taken by bloggers or their affiliate marketing, that credit and that content always drive the experience back to what Zappos wants, which for them is about driving the right price and promotion and driving to free day shipping.
So let me ask a question from the audience, which I think will also sort of help clarify a little bit more what you guys do. Can you give us the 30-second version of sort of what the consumer experience is like?
Of what?
The consumer experience.
Yeah, that's a great question, Anthony. What's so exciting?
These guys.
Yeah. What's so exciting about the consumer experience is that it's non-interruptive. And that's really important because today in advertising, I know I've been spending, I've been buying, I've been hearing the pitches for years and years and years. At the end of the day, we're looking for the best measures on the richest video of 0.07% people to engage, right? So as a publisher, you do all the backward math and you say, oh, what do I got to do to deliver these impressions, these click-throughs, and these engagements? Well, the experience for this is when someone looks at an image, they see the image, they see whatever experience you want. When they hover over the image, they get the content that's displayed, but it's displayed in a visually simple way. Like it could be icons placed on there. So like next week, we're going to be doing the March Madness recap. You're going to see a half-court shot. Fox Sports is doing the recap. And when a user looks at that image from the editorial, they're going to see what they normally see. There's going to be a little hover that says touch to explore. When they hover over that, the other content icons show up on the court, and each one of those icons will show the greatest moment of that three-point shot, or the greatest moment of that team slam dunking. And so it's all user-driven. It's not interruptive, which is what makes those metrics so powerful because everything else we've done has been very interruptive.
Great. Well, one last round of applause for Stipple.
Thank you.
So our third presenter is going to be NearWoo, which is a technology company focused on building intelligent mobile advertising platforms. And to tell us more about what that actually means is Jason Crilly.
Thank you so much, Anthony. Good morning, everybody. When you want to advertise near you, use NearWoo. Our self-serve mobile advertising platform is as easy to use as the most popular consumer apps, just like Uber and Dropbox. We've raised $2.5 million in funding. We're funded by the guys who created Google AdSense, and we have a horizontal mobile advertising platform that is self-serve and being used by over 5,000 advertisers. We only launched in September. So let me ask you a question. If technology is supposed to be changing the world, how come mobile advertising feels like banking in the 80s? Everybody keeps changing the same product to look like something else, but nobody's innovating. Nobody's coming up with anything new. And why? What are the problems? As an engineer, when we started looking at this problem in 2012, we started realizing that there were so many different pieces in the ecosystem that just weren't right. And when we started talking to different brands and we started talking to different advertisers, they all wanted to know, why didn't this work the same way that that the web worked? Why can't I do mobile advertising like I can advertise on the web? And everybody knows the problem. It's all around identity. We don't know who's who. We don't know who you are on your phone. We won't for years. It's not a problem that's going to go away tomorrow. There are people who are very smart who are working on that, but it's not going to happen. Not anytime soon. We need a stopgap. We need an alternative. We need a way to make mobile advertising, which is used 3 times more than any other media on the planet, to work now, to work today. So what we've done is we've made location work. And we're not the first ones to do it, but we're the first ones to do it this way. There are a lot of different ways that you can know about somebody based on where they live. You can look at consumer spending information. You can look at the housing demographics. You can look at what they buy. You can look at what type of homes they like to live in. You can look at who their friends are. There are lots of different ways to build profiles, and we've been doing it for years and years and years. But nobody's really taken that information and made it available to advertisers. And that's what we've done, is we've taken all the different consumer spending information. We've taken everything else that you've really been able to know about location and be able to let you target based on that location. But let's talk about another thing, geofencing. When you geofence, it's not a state that you geofence. That's just targeting. If you're going to geofence something, it should be a really granular little area. And it should be contiguous. And contiguous means that one doesn't overlap the other. And that way you can start to learn about areas. The more that you are able to learn about areas, the more you're able to deliver relevant ads. So what we've done is create a system that is relevant not only to big businesses, but also little businesses. A cupcake shop, a plumber, somebody who's just advertising their little bakery down the street. And they can go onto our website, and they can create an ad, and they use our system that makes automated creative choices for them. One of the other problems that you have is every time that you deliver a mobile ad, it goes into a black box. It's not like advertising on the web. You don't have any contextual relevant information. You can't see behind the curtain. You have no idea what the color or the style of the content is, and there's no way for you to match up your ad. Unless you're buying site by site by site, which is a very tedious problem, you'd have no idea. So what we did is we created a system that just goes out and tries a lot of different things. It'll try different backgrounds. It'll try different animations. And we'll learn what works on what sites, and we'll build profiles for those sites. And as we build profiles for those sites, we'll get smarter and smarter and smarter, and we'll get better clicks, and we'll get more phone calls, and we'll get more action from people because we'll be delivering more relevant content that you can actually see. These aren't just trivial details, and doing location smart is a lot more than just saying you're X miles from X. If you guys remember the movie Avatar, the big corporations always go in and kill the indigenous populations. But it's not because they're bad. It's because they just don't know them. But the little businesses, they know the little populations. They know their area better than we can, better than we'll ever do. And we can learn from them. We can learn about how to talk to people in their neighborhoods. And that's part of what our system does. God bless you guys. God bless America. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Wenda. Thank you.
Thank you. We also got an alternate interpretation of Avatar, which I appreciate. Again, any questions for Jason, feel free to tweet me at Anthony Ha, and let's turn it over to the judges.
Jason, great pitch. You started off with giving us a real quick sense of where the company is, what you're doing, and I think you explained it pretty well. Let me ask you a question in terms of the goal of the company. Are you trying to create a geo map and targeted, understanding a very specific geography, and instead of targeting a person, you're going to target a geography? Is that what I got from your pitch?
And rather than gridding things out, because there are a number of companies that, if you just imagine a giant grid and you lay it on top of, you get very disparate pieces of population. One piece will have, 100,000 people.
It's like redistricting?
So you have to be smart about what you grid. So we use census block groups, and each one is roughly around 1,000 people, and then you can get really smart. Is that your question?
Yeah, so as an advertiser, I'd come to you, I want to target people that want to buy luxury cars. Mm-hmm. You'd be able to give me all the geolocations that I would need to target if I wanted to.
Absolutely. There are 65 different individual profiles that make up different population groups. So you could do nationwide, you could do just in California, but you could easily find wealthy people. You can even target based on what car they drive, whether it's an SUV or a minivan or what other types of personality makeups. Because if you drive to a neighborhood, you realize that most of the cars kind of look the same. I live in Santa Monica. Every car is the same.
How are you going to collect this data?
So it's a combination of census data and consumer spending data. We license a piece of it from a company called Esri, ESRI. That's the biggest mapping company in the world. And they give us profiles that we then mark up. And as we learn more about what people click on, we refine those profiles over time. So it's all interest-based as well.
So what kind of success have you had so far from an advertiser standpoint? What kind of categories? Is the business more local? Is it regional?
So we have big businesses, we have little businesses. It's a great question. Cupcake shops work, services work a lot. If you're a service professional and a pool guy, you get a lot of phone calls. And our system tracks every single call that you get. If you're a middle tier brand like Ashley's Furniture, you get a lot of walk-in traffic. I mean, it's really tough to gauge because not everybody's going to click and call Ashley's Furniture. And we did, another good example is we did a campaign for Corner Bakery. And Corner Bakery, they called us after 5 weeks of running the campaign, and they're like, we're not getting any phone calls. And we asked them, well, how many phone calls do you get? How many people are actually calling you? So, that may not be the actual end-all, tracking mechanism that they have, but we can tell based on, a number of layers and trying to figure out, what your business was and how much it ran, just like newspapers used to. What was your spike? What's your delta? So we've had success across 65 different total business categories.
I was wondering when we were going to have our first reference to Uber, so thank you, Jason, for that.
Welcome.
I focus on differentiation because at the end of the day, strategics are not going to buy companies. You're not going to achieve an exit unless you're doing something different.
Yes.
XAD, PlaceIQ, I could go on with companies that are doing smart fencing around ads, particularly for retail. What's your difference?
Right. So let's talk about PlaceIQ. PlaceIQ is a very smart platform that has a grid system, right? So everything's broken down, it's very hyper-local, and it's also a very, very smart data play. But there's a number of things that we have that are very different. One is marking up people, not trying to find identity, but trying to build profiles of an area. And at the end of the day, the profile of the area is amazingly valuable because all you need is one piece of information to do targeting on. You just need their location. Rather than trying to know who went here and who went there, and then, maybe it's a soccer mom, maybe it's a, bumblebee, I don't know. But, if you get really smart about what the area is and you have a very intelligent wisdom network around location, then you can do incredible things, not just in advertising.
So we are all carrying these devices and we're all very mobile.
Yes.
How is that intersection between very mobile and what you're trying to build going to interact? Because I could be walking into a different suburb or a different town than I normally live in. How would you treat that? How would you be able to target me in that geography?
Right, so we don't necessarily mind, we don't think about where you are or who you are necessarily. It's only where you are at that very minute. So if you cross the threshold, if you go from Beverly Hills to Santa Monica and we see you in Santa Monica, then we're going to deliver an ad to you as if you were somebody from Santa Monica. And it only has to do with the profile of the area that you're in at that very specific second.
Great. One last round of applause for NearWoo.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for joining us. So just actually, one thing I've noticed because of the way I've been explaining it is people start to tweet me questions during the Q&A session, but don't feel constrained. Tweet me a question whenever you like. Again, @AnthonyHa. If I don't have like a couple hundred more followers at the end of today, I'm going to be disappointed. So our next presenter is Payday. Payday is a mobile engagement platform, and presenting is Rob Emmerich.
Hello, judges. I woke up this morning and I was getting dressed. I don't normally wear this type of clothes to work. And my wife is a wardrobe stylist, and she asked me why I was so dressed up. And I said, I'm going to AAAA. And she asked me, and she thought it was a little early for a meeting. But my name is Rob Emmerich, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. Payday is my 6th company. In my previous 5 attempts, I've had 4 successful companies, 2 profitable exits, a nonprofit that distributed $70 million in cancer prevention curriculum, and 1 miserable failure that I don't want to talk about. I build companies because I love doing it, and more than that, I love solving really, really hard problems. Let me tell you, the hardest problem in advertising right now is getting your 25-year-old media buyer to pick up the phone. That is a really fucking hard problem. I'm joking, but a little serious, actually. That really is hard. The real problem that Payday is here to solve is to bring true brand advertising opportunities to mobile. I'm sure you all know the numbers that 25% of all media consumption is on mobile, yet only 1% of all ad spend is allocated to it. For anyone actually involved in the buying and selling of mobile, you all know how poor the creative options are and how poor the results can be because of it. Even after years of rich media technology rollouts and proposed standards, when you or I are on our phones, almost all we ever see are the annoying banner ads pop up at the bottom of our screen. And more often than not, when they are clicked, it's an accident. As a result, brands continue only meager investment in mobile. Why is this happening, and why can't we do better? In order for brands to truly embrace mobile as a legitimate medium of its own, I'm talking about how they embrace television. We need to provide enchanting creative people want to engage with. Television did it, and dollars followed eyeballs. Now mobile needs to do it, and dollars will follow eyeballs again. Mobile media consumption is the single largest shift in consumer media behavior we will witness in our lifetimes. Heretofore, brands have been able to deliver beautiful, immersive ads, but at small scale, or really crappy banner ad creatives at massive scale. So far, no company has been able to deliver incredible, high-quality immersive ad experiences at massive scale. The reason is the existing mobile advertising infrastructure. That is, RTB, interconnected networks, exchanges, SDKs, the things that we all rely on to make ads go every single day. It was built to serve static banners and videos. Mobile is a brand new medium that can and should have an entirely new type of engaging advertising unit made specifically to exploit it from its form factor and portability. These creative units need to be based on software and not static images. At Payday, we solve this problem by thinking of every single one of our ads as a miniature software-based app, and we build, test, and measure our ads like you would build, test, and measure software. We are no longer only measuring impressions and clicks. We now measure load time, percent of assets rendered, even the ability of the ad environment itself to deliver a complex ad unit reliably to the end user. Payday has invented the advertising industry's first cross-network container that was built to reliably traffic this new breed of beautiful, immersive software-based ads. Reliably, safely, and across scores of networks and private exchanges, all at massive scale. Imagine being able to show a game or an app in every single ad unit you see on a mobile device. That's the technology that we've built. We sell media in those same places that those impressions used to be, but in the form of apps and games. As of today, we are the world's largest mobile ad engagement platform with over 150,000 developers connected to our system. We're capable of serving billions of impressions of beautiful, enchanting creative per day. To put that in perspective, we can serve more immersive ads in one day than other companies can serve in the entire year. Using our technology, NearWoo, a health beverage company, built a game-based ad unit within our container to give away 1 million bottles of their product. The campaign was announced by Neil Patrick Harris and Jimmy Kimmel, and consumers flocked to find the ad on mobile devices. They wanted to play and win their free bottle. Here's what's staggering about that campaign. We saw an almost 10% engagement rate with the ad unit. That's been done before. People have created a game within a game. Chipotle did it. But it was never done at scale. You had to choose an app and essentially build that unit for that one app so that it worked. Our technologies are delivering results only seen in small case studies, but at scale, many multiples the size of all television viewership. Our company was founded in 2012. We have over $12 million in venture investment from over 20 strategic investors, including direct investment from many large brands that are here today. We have 3 offices throughout the country and 20 people, and aggressively growing our team to meet the growing demand for our product. We were recently awarded the Best Financing Award by the Los Angeles Venture Association. Judges and audience, I urge you to vote for Payday. It's a vote that pushes the most important new medium of our time, mobile, in a direction of innovation and beautiful creative.
Thank you. All right.
Rob, thank you. Thank you. Because you told us why you're doing what you're doing, you told us what you're doing, you told us how you're doing it, and of course at the end, the call to action. Fantastic. One question, you used the word platform.
Yeah.
And yet you also said you're selling the media. Mm-hmm. There's a spectrum. Are you a platform? Are you a media company?
So we think of ourselves as a platform. Companies buy media through us. So one thing that we didn't talk about because we were chosen for the creative section was all of the targeting, all the other great reasons, the technologies that we have. But as it relates to creative, people will buy media through our platform. So similar to a Rocket Fuel or a company like that. Does that make sense?
Who are your other competitors? Who are your competitors?
So we don't have any one single competitor anymore, but we do compete essentially against media buyers that are buying across the stack. So they would need to work with a device ID company. They would need to work with a targeting company. They might need to work with Jason's company. They need to do this in different pieces. We offer it as a fully integrated stack to buy media. And we do it on a performance basis. That's how confident we are in our results.
So I have a question from Ad ID in the audience, which is how do you deliver an immersive experience with constrained bandwidth?
With what?
Constrained bandwidth.
That's such a good question. I mean, that must be a technical person that asked that. But so we pre-cache our ads. That's one of the things that we've learned how to do within our container, is to essentially load our ad far ahead of time within this container and then use the container to express how that ad will look. Did that answer your question, whoever that was? Raise your hand.
Other questions from the judges?
Margins.
So
wait for it.
Yeah, I was going to say, talk about that.
You just hand us, your finances.
Yeah.
Media buying is renowned for shrinking margins with scale. What have you got with your platform that gives you sustainability, defensibility, and defensive margins?
That's such a good question. So first of all, some of the bigger companies that are out there, like Rocket Fuel, I mean, they have massive margins. And when you hear margins as a media buyer, you should be thinking, shit, I am overpaying. But
that's exactly what they think.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. Anyways, the way that we think about it is we're performance-based, and we think we're the first company that's thinking about the value of each individual of the billions of impressions that we could possibly serve, and not the price of it. So we think that the media buying, like the DSPs that exist now, are sort of like buying stocks. You know the price, but you don't know the underlying company. So we're measuring the ad environment. That is the environment where an ad is actually rendered. So for instance, if it can't be pre-cached, or if it's not on Wi-Fi, or if this particular impression historically doesn't display ads, we deprecate that impression. And so we've invented something that we call ad score. So for the first time, you're actually able to buy based on value and price. Does that make sense? About our margins and how we protect them. Right. For the brands, they love it because they just pay us on their KPIs, whatever their engagement rates are. So we don't charge a CPM.
Any last questions? Looks like we're good, so we came in under. Thank you very much, Rob.
Sure.
Bonus points for being the first, as far as I can recall, to use profanity during the competition.
What's that?
Being the first to use profanity on stage during the competition, I applaud that. And
okay.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
All right, we have our final presenter for the first round, which is a video advertising technology company called Sightly, and presenting from Sightly is John McIntyre. Maybe? Oh, here he comes, here he comes.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Anthony. And good morning, everybody. All right, if you will, imagine that every commercial that you see is created just for you, just for the device that you're watching it on, for the moment you're watching. That is the vision that Sightly is making a reality. We built a next-generation video ad platform that delivers personalized video ad content to a micro-targeted demographic in hyperlocal areas on every device. This platform essentially enables national brand advertising campaigns to be run at the local level and eventually at the individual level, completely disrupting advertising as we know it. Now, I'm sure most of you are aware that we are in the midst of a seismic shift from the single-screen TV to the multi-screen advertising on mobile and other devices. In December, Americans watched a staggering 35 billion video ads. That's 35 billion. And video is also fundamentally changing how we advertise. The CEO of Nielsen recently stated that advertising will no longer be just about demographics. It'll be about consumers' behaviors and geographic location. And this is going to allow brands to really reach the precise audience on every device. And we at Slightly couldn't agree more, which is why we built our platform to help advertisers and agencies take advantage of this massive opportunity. So here's how our platform works. We have really 3 key technologies. First, our system can automatically generate personalized ads by dynamically inserting what we call localized content. So think of phone numbers, names, pictures, images, deals, etc. This personalized content has proven to boost response rates by up to 200%. The second piece of our technology platform is that we developed a network of networks to reach all screens with a single point access to video, mobile, social, and display ad networks that support video ad units. We are Google's only video platform partner with programmatic access to TrueView's or YouTube's TrueView ad inventory, which is the largest in the market. Finally, we built an advanced audience segmentation and campaign optimization engine. If you, as an experienced account manager, were to use the tools that exist today in the market, following best practices, it would take you about 30 hours to create a campaign and about 12 to 15 hours a month to manage that campaign. Our system and technology reduces that to minutes, allowing a very scalable and affordable way for brands and their partners to run thousands of micro-targeted campaigns. And underlying all this technology is basically our version of big data. It's really the fuel to the engine. And it allows our system to know what ad creative, what ad calls to action, what ad units, what ad networks, even what devices work best for each permutation of your target audience. Now, the main reason that you should be excited about the technology that we've built is it'll liberate you from having to figure out how to reach your target audience and allow you to focus on the greater value add of the what, of the brand message and the brand promise, and the creative that's going to be required to connect to each of those micro-targeted audiences. So again, imagine that every commercial you see is created just for you, specifically for the device you're on at the time you're watching it, and how that level of relevancy will forever change how we view and how we interact with advertising. We're Sightly, and we're here to help make that vision a reality. Thank you.
All right, thank you, John. Time for the Q&A session again. Just a reminder, @Anthony Ha for questions from the audience. Don't have any audience questions yet, so judges?
Can you give us an example of a campaign that was particularly successful and what they did and what the results were?
Sure. I have to protect the names of the innocent, but we recently launched a campaign for a national insurance provider. And the campaign basically was generated with we worked with the creative agency to create a template and then inserted the pictures of the agents, their names, their numbers, their area that they serve to really personalize that ad, and then ran that ad for hundreds of agents in the individual markets that they were in. And they saw such a success rate in terms of the, obviously view rates and awareness was a big thing that they were working with on the brand side, but they also got the benefit that the individual agents received calls. We do call tracking in our ads. Click-through rates in the ads were phenomenal compared to what they've seen in the past. And so that they were so excited about that platform that that success of that campaign, that they have launched that out into all their agents at this point in time.
John, how scalable is that? I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of potential manpower that goes into creating these creatives and managing the templates and figuring out what to serve to who. How scalable is this process?
Yeah, the concept of scalability is at the foundation of our company. So creating a single template is actually not a time-consuming process. If you've already got ad or ad creative that you're looking to use, allowing us to take that and we simply ingest that into our platform and basically tag points in the ad and then literally upload to the database all the information that you have on phone numbers, locations, et cetera, and think of a mail merge technology that it automatically will generate the ad, the system creates that ad, and then of course runs the campaign completely automated. So it's fully scalable.
And are you doing it for mobile? This particular campaign, was it a mobile campaign or was it a television campaign?
Well, it's the primary ad units. We cover all video ad units. So you think about in-stream, whether you're doing it on desktop or mobile. You're doing in-display, in-app. We're getting ready to launch with in-game, and of course in-display video ad units. So any network that currently supports it, and Google supports most of those ad units today.
So for those playing buzzword bingo, big data was mentioned. You can check that one off. So in your intermediation, are you actually taking a margin on the media?
Excuse me?
Your business model, are you charging for your technology?
So we basically take a percentage of the media spend. That's absolutely correct.
Arbitrage or percentage of spend?
Complete transparency, percentage of the spread. No arbitrage.
So, sorry, just, can you say again, how many different sort of localized versions of an ad sort of ultimately could conceivably get created in a campaign?
Wow, depending on the campaign, the localization can run into the tens of thousands because that type of ad can also be responsive to the time of day that it's run, the weather outside, obviously down to the micro-targeted demographics. When we think about advanced campaign segmentation, the ad that you run for an 18 to 25-year-old male who loves sports might be different than the 18 to 25-year-old male who loves music. And that ad, even though it might have a template of a brand consistency, the particular product that you put in there or the call to action that you put in there for that particular audience member can differ and be delivered, targeted to that person.
Where are you guys in your life cycle? How many employees?
Great. So we launched the company last year. We just received our first Series seed funding from folks like Tomorrow Ventures, 500 startups. We did the private beta launch of the platform in December. We now have about a half dozen agencies on the platform, generating revenue from about 24 clients of theirs on the platform. We've got about a dozen people in the company right now.
Who's your primary competitor?
Everyone always says they don't have a direct competitor at this early stage, which is a bit of a cop-out. But in the process, we really have, in our platform, we have really two types of competitors, and I'll give you a couple. In the personalization concept of taking content, there's companies called iView that have been a good leader in the personalization space. We're big fans of what they do because we think that's an area that people need to be focusing more on in personalization. On the distribution side, you have competitors like TubeMogul and others that have a platform for distribution. But we don't have anybody right now that kind of fills the gamut of creative, the distribution, and the analytics.
Aren't you running into a problem where the buyers in these agencies are either focused on, they're not necessarily focused on video, they're focused either on mobile, they're focused on television, they're focused on internet, and you're kind of having to cross-sell inside an organization?
It's an incredibly insightful point, and it is our biggest challenge is one of education, because you end up having folks that are the creative, broadcast, we own the TV dollars, and we won't let them go without, from our dying grip, to the digital media folks who really focus on lead generation, local spending, and we kind of fall in between. And really, we like to think we're the best of both worlds, but there is a challenge because we're not a line item in most budgets today. But we believe that's going to change.
So why wouldn't you just go after Ad Colony and just go for mobile and just personalize mobile, and that's it? That's your target audience.
Well, we haven't actually found people just focused on mobile. We've really found them focused either on all digital for lead gen or broadcast for brand awareness. And our product focus really manages the entire funnel at all different trigger points, whether it's leading and filling the top of the funnel from brand awareness, or it's actually in customer engagement. And really, our sales team sells differently that way. So we will sell into creative agencies and focus on how they can really test creative and be really effective at changing their messaging and really do fantastic lower expense brand awareness. But we're also, when we deal with the lead generation companies, talk about how the call to action is so important and how they can generate leads and clicks. So it's really a different sales proposition using the same engine.
Great, thanks. Well, one last round of applause for Sightly.
Thank you, guys.
All right, so everybody remembers exactly how to vote, right? It's not going to be a problem at all. Can we bring the slide up again? Okay, so again, there's the app. If you have it, I believe you go to the survey. Oh wait, no, here. Yeah, so you go to this. You hit this. You go to the second page of the interface. There's a survey button. There's also a number that you can text. Just to recap here, I see the judges are already voting. This was the creative technology startup section. We had Blippar, which you sort of ran creative campaigns using visual markers. We had Stipple, which was image tagging and monetization. We had NearWoo, which was for advertising near you, so that's the easy one to remember. Payday for helping building, testing, measuring ads to help brands achieve quality at scale. And then we had Sightly just now, which was dynamically inserting localized content. I think most of these guys are pretty independent thinkers. They can make their own decisions. So we have to worry about biasing them too much. I mean, do you guys want to say anything in terms of your impressions of the first session, favorites, anything?
I think the CEOs were nervous when they first started. Hopefully they got more comfortable over time, which I'm glad. There are a lot of interesting ideas. I saw a lot of features and maybe potentially products and not necessarily companies yet. The only one that was intriguing to me was the last John's company, Sightly. I think they're going after a pretty big market. I think they would be more successful if they focus on a particular market. That's my favorite.
Yeah, I actually, Sightly was the one that I liked a lot.
Right.
I thought for a group that was trying to disrupt creative, that they could have used some more creative in their pitching.
Well, we constrained them. They weren't allowed to do demos.
Them. We did indeed. I liked Sightly and Payday. I thought Payday was very clear, concise, value proposition, and most importantly, differentiated. All
right. Well, it seems that if you ask for votes, you will get votes, because right now it looks like Payday. Is there anyone who hasn't voted yet and is trying to make a decision? Because maybe we can help you out. But if you've all voted, all right, I think it's safe to say that the winner of the first round is Payday. And so they'll be back and competing for the big prize at the end, which is nothing, but we're calling it the big prize.